Well, now turning to some politics. Senator Marco Rubio telling the Washington Post he's putting his full focus on the presidential race and won't run for re-election to the Senate because he's, quote, frustrated there. The front page headline saying Rubio gives up on the Senate. He hates it. The article discussing how many of his ideas have hit a brick wall in Congress and describing his political strategy as the White House or bust. Brett Baer is the anchor of Special Report. All right, Brett, so Marco Rubio says maybe not hate, but he's frustrated with it, and he certainly doesn't want to work there again. And in fairness to him, a lot of Americans don't like the Senate either. The question today, politically, though, this message, what kind of liability does it have for Marco Rubio and his future run for the White House?
Jenna, good morning. I tell you, it's a double-edged sword here. You're right in that I don't like the Senate. It doesn't work the right way. He's appealing on the campaign trail, especially in an anti-Washington, anti-establishment kind of atmosphere. But it also brings up the fact that he is a first-term senator who doesn't like the playground he's on and wants to go to the White House. It's White House or bust. And you know, so there is some feeling like, did he pay his dues when you read this article? At least that's how his opponents are portraying it. And so, you know, after we had a one-term senator who became a president, and arguably many in the Republican Party think that didn't work too well, that brings up another issue for Rubio.
And that was just what I was going to ask you. Here you have a young senator, energetic, enthusiastic. A lot of people find him very inspiring. And the question for Rubio, raised in this piece but indirectly, is whether or not he does have a Barack Obama problem. Does he, Brad?
Well, you know, he explains it very well. He talks about it, that he's completely different and that he has a different life circumstance that took him to the Florida as Speaker of the House, to a career that went very quickly, that got him to the U.S. Senate. But there is a level of frustration about the Senate and some of the things he's tried to do there that have been stymied by both Republicans and Democrats. So we'll see if Rubio can shake that off and convince people he's right for the big job.
I want to ask you a little bit about how he answers this question. He was asked this question about the votes that he has missed over the past several weeks in his pursuit for the White House. So I'm going to play a chunk of sound from another network, Brett, but it gives our viewers an idea of how he's handling this. Let's go ahead and roll that sound.
Marco Rubio criticism over and over again that you keep missing votes on the Senate floor. 43% of the votes. I know you say you're campaigning for president, but Bernie Sanders, Rand Paul, they've missed fewer than 10 votes. You're up at 59 or 60.
Well, everyone needs to run their own campaign. I can tell you that in the history of presidential politics, people have, when they've been running for politics in the Senate, they've missed votes. And I'm not missing votes because I'm on vacation.
But this many votes?
Actually, this is lower than what other people have missed. I'm running for president so that the votes in the Senate are actually meaningful again. A lot of these votes won't mean anything. They're not going to pass, and even if they did, the president would veto it.
So give me the job as president so those votes can be meaningful. Winning?
Yeah. Well, you know, listen, a lot of the votes are not meaningful because of the fact that either they're stymied by Democrats by a 60-vote threshold for a filibuster, or the president's going to veto some piece of legislation and, they'll have to get 2/3 vote to overturn that. That's true, but, for the people like Ted Cruz who say they're on the floor and they're fighting and they're tooth and nail every vote, or almost every vote, they have a case to make against Rubio. I think he's going to have to address it. I bet at the debate this week he'll be pressed about that again.
And of course, those that are on the floor in front of the cameras aggressively pursuing their own agenda, they get criticized as well. So it's a little bit of a can't win.
Yeah.
Whatever you do. I want to ask you just quickly here, Brett, about Marco Rubio's early mentor, right? Jeb Bush, former Florida governor, once presumed, as we all know, the front runner, and now he's going through a series of transitions. We know about the cutting of the staff and expenses. We know about the poll numbers. We've also heard the reports about a family meeting over the last day or so in Texas. Here's also what Jeb Bush said over the weekend that's getting some attention. Let's roll that sound.
I don't want to be elected president to sit around and see gridlock just become so dominant that people literally are in decline in their lives. That is not my motivation. I got a lot of really cool things that I could do other than sit around being miserable, listening to people demonize me and me feeling compelled to demonize them. That is a joke. Elect Trump if you want that. If you want somebody who has a heart for people, who can fight for people and can fix these things, then there are a couple other people, and I believe I'm the best one.
So some are suggesting this is the recalibration, easy enough for me to say, Brett, of Jeb Bush's campaign. What stands out most to you about the new tone and some of the new messaging?
Well, listen, Jenna, it's not low energy. He has some fire in the belly there, but the messaging is interesting. I mean, for any candidate to say, I have a lot of better things to do than be miserable. And that sounded like a ring of truth.
When you say
like
it to me,
he has not been a happy warrior on the campaign
I hope you
trail.
don't have anything better to do than what you're doing right now, Brett, by the way.
I don't.
Okay.
This is the thing I need to be doing. Okay. But, you know, it just doesn't come off that great. I know he's trying to make an impassioned plea that, you know, he shoots back at Donald Trump saying he's a reality show star and that sort of thing. But sometimes when he comes off with that tone, it's almost like I have other better things to do than talk to you in Iowa, New Hampshire, whatever. There's a fine line here, and somehow the Bush campaign is trying to find it. Whether he can or not, he's going to have to see some movement in the polls, Jenna, to get those donors reinvigorated. That's the big deal.
I know we've heard it before, but some are suggesting this week is really do or die with the debate and with all just the questions about the campaign. But, like, again, we've heard it all before about many campaigns at this point. Brett, certainly a lot to talk about tonight on Special Report. We'll look forward to that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jenna.